Mike, we are approximately 20 days away from potentially the greatest WrestleMania of all time. You are so excited for it. You are going to be in the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, my favorite football team, Lincoln Financial Field, April 6th, April 7th. Let's dive into all of things WrestleMania, and there's no better place to start than night one main event, which will feature Dwayne The Rock Johnson teaming with the head of the table, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, against the visionary, the revolutionary, the walking clown emoji, as The Rock calls him, Seth freaking Rollins, and the man who The Rock has coined his fans as Cody Crybabies, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. We know that this match has huge stakes leading into night two main event, which will, of course, feature Cody v. Roman too. Mike, we got to discuss this because I haven't talked to you about it. How do you see it going down in Philly, my man?
Well, I'm just going to start with night one before you ask your next question, Brandon. Man, I got to tell you, what a WrestleMania season it's been. Sometimes I do shed a tear as I'm watching the shows just because I'm so just excited and jazzed up. It's going to be a wonderful weekend and I'm looking forward to it. But when I look to night one, I see, basically my theme around this whole thing is let's make Cody overcome it all. Okay. And I think that's what it's been WWE's goal this entire time, as far as having him come out short at last year's WrestleMania after his debilitating injury. Since then, I think that's made them want to put things in motion to make Cody the most sympathetic overcomer, that the company has ever seen. So in night one, I believe that Roman and The Rock, I mean, even in a close win, they have to win this tag team match. Um, One, because you'll have a lot of casual fans there that want to see The Rock, that want to see The Rock win. It's very unlikely that your biggest star ever would lose right off the bat. And I don't think it's a smart decision. What I would rather see is The Rock and Roman Reigns win the tag team match so that on night two, Cody could have the largest, obstacle, the largest deficit that he's ever had as a performer um, in front of it. I mean, it's bloodline rules. It's anything goes. He has to overcome the greatest faction in the modern era, and it's up to him to do that. In order for that to happen, the tag team match has to end with Reigns and The Rock winning.
See, Mike, I actually disagree with you because I think Roman Reigns is walking out of WrestleMania 40 still the undisputed Universal Champion again. And I think Cody and Rollins are going to go over on Rock and Roman night one. And I think Cody is going to pin The Rock dead clean in the ring with a crossroads. And I think that The Rock can still turn on Roman at WrestleMania 40 and Roman still not lose the championship because I do think that somewhere along the line, Seth Rollins, who's going to be so pissed off about losing the World Championship to Drew McIntyre to open night two of WrestleMania, is going to see what Drew McIntyre said all along, and that's that Rollins focused too much on the bloodline as opposed to his own World Championship match, and Rollins is going to turn on Cody Rhodes and cost Cody Rhodes the main event slot at WrestleMania 40. Because I do think that my problem is with Cody winning is, and I told you this last year, and I think it's one of the reasons why they didn't go with Cody Rhodes winning last year. And you said this last year on the podcast. You said, Brandon, the money is in the chase. And I think the issue with Cody winning is where the hell do you go with Cody Rhodes? Because his first feud after Roman Reigns has to be so meaningful and so worthwhile that it gets you invested in Cody Rhodes' title run. Because Cody's old gimmick in WWE for the last 2 years has been finishing the story, finishing the story, finishing the story. Well, what happens when the story's finished?
Well, I'm going to get back to you on that, Brandon. And here's why I disagree. with what your statement is. At the end of the day, uh, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes is not the biggest angle of the whole show. I mean, it's an angle that we've seen before. It's a storyline that works well and does draw great money outside of WrestleMania season. What I really see personally is Cody Rhodes winning by some sort of outside interference, whether it be Seth Rollins, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin on night two. Whether it would be, I mean, maybe not. Maybe he overcomes everyone and wins, but on his own. But where I see the Seth Rollins turn happening is Monday night after WrestleMania. I believe that at the end of the day, Cody can win the championship. And I believe that now, with the addition of Seth Rollins, that the heel side of the roster is going to be radically changed for a couple guys. And I believe that we'll be able to get from WrestleMania to SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes having heel opponents. I believe that the main event of SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio is going to be Cody Rhodes versus the final boss, The Rock. I believe that, that could be a match that we see at SummerSlam. They want SummerSlam to be the second WrestleMania. And I believe that you can build to that. And I believe that, as far as it goes, Roman can lose and then not show up, till WrestleMania season, potentially to help The Rock win the championship. I mean, you never know. And I believe that the program is strong enough now with other acts around it that you don't necessarily need to have Roman Reigns be the champion anymore. I think that the amount of opponents that he's beaten everyone. He's defeated everybody. And I think that the fans will not get behind anyone bigger than Cody Rhodes right now. He is light years ahead of most baby faces since the Cena era. I think that when you look at this storyline, I think that if you have him lose one more time, all it will do is make people not get interested in it. And you have two times in the same exact show where he loses the match. You're not going to get a match of that level ever again. So will Cody ever win the title after this? And are we expected that it's going to be a bigger deal for this? That's my question to you. If they have Roman win the championship, I mean, we all know Roman versus The Rock is given for the following year. Because that's the biggest match we have left. I mean, does The Rock versus Roman Reigns really need the championship? Again, that's what I'm asking you, Brandon. I mean,
I think it does. Because to me, every single match with a championship just matters more. And I think that if you have Rock versus Roman, I understand that those two guys are a big enough name that it may not necessarily need the title, but for my money, being the tribal chief, being the head of the table, in my opinion, without the title, there is no that part of Roman Reigns. So I want to see Roman's character direction after that championship, but I don't think you can add that character of Roman without the championship, which is why I would book Roman versus Rock Mania 41, whether it's in Minnesota or Vegas, with the undisputed title on the line.
But where does Cody Rhodes go from there? Will he ever finish his story?
That's my thing, is to be honest with you, Mike, I really don't care. I'm not as high on Cody as the majority of people are. I don't think Cody, I understand the majority of the fan base loves him. I just think Cody is not that guy to me. I think that he is a very tremendous performer, but every time he's in the ring cutting promos with the likes of Roman and the likes of The Rock, even to me, he just doesn't even hold his own. I think Roman and The Rock have destroyed him over the last couple weeks in promos to the point where, to me, Cody is not a sympathetic figure.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that The Rock is cutting promos about Cody's family and Cody's story and social media promos about what he's going to physically do to him, Brandon.
And inject that into my veins. That's what I want to see.
The most popular person on the roster, Cody Rhodes, without a doubt, the most popular act anywhere in the business. So, like, we're just going to have The Rock be this dastardly heel and never have a payoff for it at all.
Well,
So,
I think you could do Rock versus Cody at SummerSlam without the title. And that could lead you to Cody, by the way, trying to fight his odds. Because I don't know, maybe you do Rock and Roman next year, but not at Mania. Maybe you do it at the Rumble. And maybe you have Cody win the Rumble a third time. And maybe you have at that point with The Rock and Solo completely out of the picture, then Cody wins the title. That's what I saw at the
but
end
if
of
that,
last year, which is why I thought Roman was going to win last year, is because I thought Jay was going to turn on him and Jimmy was going to turn on him and Solo was going to turn on him. And then we would get Cody versus Roman all alone. Because I think in order for Cody to truly become that guy to be the tribal chief, I think that Roman needs to be all alone. Doesn't have any help, no more bloodline. It's just him and Cody one on one.
but what, so my point is just what happens to the rest of the roster then? I mean, and here's the deal. I mean, Roman's not on television anyways, and I get it. I mean, he's a high profile act, but I'm going to tell you what this looks like to me based on what you're telling me. Okay, based on what you're telling me. Based on what you're telling me this. You're telling me that the bloodline is the NWO of the 1990s, right? And what did the NWO do? They tore down every single WCW babyface. So that therefore, I mean, they weren't able really to execute the ending of that angle at its highest level. Sting versus Hollywood Hogan, biggest match in WCW history, Starrcade 1997. What did they do? A messed up screwy finish. And at the end of the day, I mean, even though Hogan didn't win, it was executed in a way that was poor execution and that didn't necessarily, capitalize on the positive energy that the Crow Sting had generated for a year. They built up Crow Sting as a vigilante, as a winner, as a legend to take down Hollywood Hogan in the NWO. And Sting was getting popular. Sting capitalized on all of, the heel antics of the NWO, and the NWO wasn't going to dissolve after that. But Sting winning in a controversial fashion and then having the title vacated, I believe it was, or yeah, I believe that's what happened because Sting never had an official title reign after that. I mean, it boggles my mind. It's like you had the most, over heroic competitor not get that comeuppance on the bad guys. And in turn, it really damaged that character of Sting. And with Cody Rhodes being the moneymaker that he is, especially with Rock and Roman in a one-on-one match on the horizon, doesn't make sense for you to damage your biggest and most over babyface, who literally can almost do no wrong in the eyes of the fans. And if you do that in Philadelphia, and if Roman does win, you'll see that Cody Rhodes does not come out of it better because it's the exact same finish. Because when is he going to finish the story? When will he do it if Roman wins this one? Well, you can't really give me a straight on answer, can you? Because
No, I can't, right?
you can't, right? Because at the end of the day, right now is the peak of the passion that the fans have for this main event. I don't know if fans have wanted to see anybody win the championship more than they want to see Cody win it right now. And if he doesn't win the championship right now, you really can't tell me when they can do it again, which is a bad thing. Which is a bad thing because they might do it in Saudi Arabia. And that's not WrestleMania. And they might do it at SummerSlam. And yeah, it's not WrestleMania.
Okay.
It's
Let me
WrestleMania.
ask you this scenario. Cody wins. Priest cashes in Money in the Bank.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you got weeks worth of television. I mean, people have cashed in Money in the Bank on Raw and had great reigns. Why does it have to happen right now? Why does Seth Rollins have to cost Rhodes the championship? If I'm Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes has beaten me however many times in a row, 4 times in a row, is that right? Counting the live event.
I believe it's 3, but Rollins even, I believe, on a recent Raw admitted the fact, when Cody was making his decision before they did the press conference in Vegas, Rollins said that he wanted to beat Rhodes to validate himself as the World Heavyweight Champion, which could lead
So,
to a potential turning angle.
all right. Wouldn't Seth Rollins want to feel more validated if he won the championship and took it away from Cody Rhodes?
Well, I mean, it depends on what his mindset is as a character. Sometimes you feel like, hey, you win by any means necessary.
All right, but wouldn't he want to be the champion and take away the thing that's most important to Cody Rhodes?
Yes, I would agree to that.
I mean, we're just having, a great debate here, Brandon. But at the end of the day, it's like I believe that outside of WrestleMania, for those months, and even I believe Cody Rhodes versus a heel Seth Rollins could main event a Saudi Arabia show, or it could be close to main. I mean, if The Rock, I mean, it's already been reports that The Rock cannot work Saudi Arabia, in May. So, I mean, do we want to do a triple threat match in Saudi Arabia between Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins? I mean, right now it doesn't look that great, but
I mean, that's a WrestleMania size main event.
I mean, wouldn't they want to have it in Saudi Arabia though? Like that's where they're putting all their eggs in this basket. I'm just saying,
Yeah, no, you're right.
infinite possibilities. I mean, dude, we can get to SummerSlam easily, brother. We can. I mean, even if Seth Rollins, I mean, man, Seth Rollins can turn on heel on Cody Rhodes. I see it right now. Cody and Seth, they come out to, even in a loss to Drew McIntyre, a clean loss. Drew gets his moment. I can even see Seth Rollins shaking his hand. Let's be honest, Drew McIntyre has earned it. Even though he's dastardly injured, CM Punk, I think it's a great work, and I think that Seth Rollins, I mean, after a barn burner match, I mean, Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins could make up. I mean, but maybe that won't happen because I believe CM Punk will be involved as the special guest referee.
Which
But
would be awesome.
right, but I mean, because where do you go with that? But I mean, at the end of
I
the day,
think Punk and McIntyre will be the SummerSlam match for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I mean, I could see, Punk counting the 3 to get Drew the win in a clean match, a clean finish, and you know, and Drew maybe trying to get physical with Punk after, and Punk and Seth helping each other, and then from there, you have Cody win the championship in some form or fashion. Seth can come out, celebrate with him as the show goes off the air. And then Monday on Raw, we need a huge cliffhanger angle. What's happened? The majority of the Raws after WrestleMania, somebody turns heel every single time. I mean, however many years ago, I'm going to start it from here. DX turned on Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie.
You're going all the way back.
Age Outlaws joined them all the way back. And then even if we want to go even farther, Mick Foley debuted on WWE TV and took out The Undertaker in '96. But then we go to that one. And then, we're going to skip further a little bit, just off the cuff. 2013, who turned heel? Ryback. Ryback turned heel on John Cena. Is that right? Think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then, Lesnar last money, right?
Yeah.
Tag match. Lesnar turns on him. Why don't we do that exact same formula and then have 3 pay-per-view matches prior to SummerSlam? You got Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins as running back. It's a match that everyone loves. Maybe it isn't WrestleMania levels now because they already had their WrestleMania match, Brandon. We need something to get us to SummerSlam. And for my money, Cody Rhodes versus a heel Seth Rollins, who wants desperately to avenge the loss to Cody Rhodes and take what means the most to him, Brandon. And that's the thing. The title means most to Cody Rhodes right now. You know, I mean, that's my argument. And I mean, we even have situations where certain people that are baby faces are kind of floundering right now. I mean, my favorite performer on the entire roster might be due for a heel turn. LA Knight, we don't know. I mean, he hasn't been on TV that often since his feud with AJ Styles. I think it's a part of where he is in the show. I think that, him and The Rock are very similar in what they're doing is, they might be just, having him with AJ Styles in a babyface role. And, maybe he might be a good opponent for Cody. I mean, we also got Bash in Berlin coming up, I think, before SummerSlam. It might be after, though. In New
No,
York.
Badger Berlin is after.
Bash in Berlin is after? Okay. Cody has said, I want to face Gunther overseas. Like, he's like, I want to face Gunther overseas in some way. So, you got Gunther ready for the challenge. We've got, LA Knight there. We've got Logan Paul there. Somebody that could face off with him. I think that compared to last year, I think that you could use some of the baby faces that have gotten over, make them heels, and create this fun little run for Cody before we get back to the run. Because we can't do Cody, The Rock, and Roman for really 6 more months, especially when The Rock is off television. I just think that, if we're being honest with ourselves, what happens to Cody Rhodes after this? If he loses, when is he ever going to win the title? Like, think about it, Brandon. If Roman versus Rock is the biggest match that you could put on for next year, Punk isn't winning the championship and then facing Cody. The Rock can't be the champion and drop the belt to Cody. He could, but it might be unlikely. Because if we do that at the expense of Roman Reigns, we put in 4 years for The Rock to just drop the belt to Cody when our biggest heel character, what does he become? If Rock would win the championship and then drop it to Cody, what happens to Roman? He's just nowhere.
Yeah.
This is the height of this angle. This is the biggest money part of the angle. And if they don't execute it well, it will end up like the NWO and Sting.
So, Mike, let me ask you then, when do you think Priest cashes in? And then do you think he does it successfully?
Very, very interesting. I can see a scenario where he's one of the guys that cashes in and does not win the title. Nothing against Priest. I don't think that he's worthy of world champion material.
See, part of me thinks that you can continue if you really wanted to. The Drew McIntyre got screwed over moment by having Priest pull with Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight Championship match, inserting himself and making it a triple threat and pinning Rollins and winning the world title.
That can work. I like that, Brandon. But we got to remember, he's also in a 6-person ladder match tag. I know we don't apply logic to this type of genre because it's pro wrestling or because it's WWE, but if my man's in a 6-person ladder match the night before, is he gonna want to feel good enough to insert himself in the match and win the title? Unless he really wants to play reverse psychology and have him think, well, no one thinks I'm going to cash in right now after I just had this big ladder match.
Yep.
And now we might just not be thinking with our heads. That might be the only scenario where I do see Priest winning the world title. But how does Drew beat Priest for the title? Because we got to get.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's so many interesting scenarios, which is why I think that this WrestleMania you alluded to is one of the best build-ups to WrestleMania ever because it's unpredictable. And we have both said on numerous occasions, predictable can be good, but unpredictable is obviously always better. We don't have much time left in the show, so I just want to get your overall thoughts on the rest of the card for not only night one, night two. We don't know the position of the matches yet, but we have, I would say, 80% of the card down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I look at this card top to bottom, there's not one match I'm not excited for, personally. And it's not me being biased because I'll actually be there. I genuinely am excited for every single match. When I look at Gunther and Sami Zayn, that feels like, we could be seeing Savage Steamboat and or
Yep.
some kind of in that, in-ring classic. And then from there, the United States Championship triple threat match.
Can't wait for that.
Love it, right? Here's my hot take for you and for everybody on Brandon's world who listens to wrestling, who cares. I mean, is there anybody more underrated in the history of professional wrestling than Kevin Owens? Than
Kevin,
Kevin,
I thought you were going to say Logan Paul for a second. I was not expecting the Kevin Owens,
than
but
Kevin,
hey,
Kevin,
you make a good point.
Kevin Steen / Kevin Owens. Has there been anybody more underrated? I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, I would have to think, but he's up there.
I mean, my dude's a made man. He helped Stone Cold Steve Austin to maybe one of the best retirement matches ever 2 years ago. Like maybe the best WrestleMania tag team match of all time last year with Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Is he the the most underappreciated wrestler that has ever existed? I mean, when it's all said and done, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I think he is. And no taking away from the greatness of Randy Orton, who is maybe one of the top 15 best wrestlers. Logan Paul, unbelievable heel work, best celebrity to ever show up in between those rows. But listen, Kevin Owens being added to that match only makes him, possibly match of the year worthy.
Oh, yeah, I think those guys could absolutely steal the whole weekend.
Yeah, but in an exciting weekend for NXT and everything around the block, I mean, we're going to see Trick Williams, a young guy that really gives me Booker T vibes, going up against Carmelo Hayes. Uh, really fun rivalry there. Two guys that I could see being WrestleMania main eventers in the future. They're rock solid. And then the Hall of Fame, which will be wonderful. And we will see Paul Heyman take his rightful place in maybe the most deserving Hall of Famer ever.
And by the way, in the perfect city to do that, obviously, the home of Extreme. Now, are you going to be at SmackDown and the Hall of Fame, or are you just going to Mania?
Yeah, we're going to SmackDown. We're going to SmackDown in the Hall of Fame. And then we're also plan is to go to NXT, and then that's Saturday morning, and then from there, night one, night two, and then I'll also be there for Monday Night Raw on Monday night. So I'm looking forward to coming back on the show and being a part of it and telling you what the weekend was like.
Dude, unbelievable. You were gonna have to rest up your voice box. Your voice is gonna be destroyed from screaming so much over the 4 or 5 days of wrestling. I will say, as we sort of wrap it up, I think the one Mania match that I was looking forward to originally that to me has just lost its shine a little bit, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think the women's championship match between Bailey and Io Sky, just something's not clicking for me. And I don't know if it's just because of the fact that Io has not had a lot of promo work, that it feels more about Dakota coming back from injury and taking over the group. Like, I wanted the triple threat between Bailey, Io, and Dakota, the three original members of Damage Control. And just Bailey and Io, and it feels like it's not even about Io anymore. There's just something about it where I haven't got that like Bailey super over baby face that I wanted to see come out yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I feel like we haven't got that either. I think Brandon, maybe what makes this a little bit sour for you is that this is kind of a destination that we knew we've been getting since August. So maybe it's kind of watered down. It's not what you think it could be, and maybe that'll motivate these girls, and maybe they'll go out and tear the house down. But I agree with you, Brandon. We have a lot of discussion on here about wrestling that typically we don't usually agree with, but I would say that is one of those things that we can agree on is I'm excited for Bayley. This will be her moment, but at the same time, I is she going to go back to her gimmick as the hugger? From
Hot take, I would not mind that.
yeah, what Are we going to make her really sympathetic all over again, or what? What is it with this character? What are we going to do? Um, so at the end of the day, make this a little bit better, make this a little bit, intense, and we'll see what happens.
So, Mike, I cannot wait. WrestleMania weekend is going to be historic in Philly. Obviously, I'm jacked up for SummerSlam. That's going to be 20 minutes down the road from my house as well. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, as we have said multiple times, whether you're a fan of WWE, AEW, New Japan, TNA. Wrestling, as The Rock has said in the last couple of weeks, professional wrestling is cool again. And it feels good that we're not ashamed not that we've never been ashamed to talk about it, but now it's like you can talk about it, I feel like, more casually again.
Right. I talk to people who don't usually watch wrestling, and they're like, "Did you see the Rock's back? Did
Yep.
you see SummerSlam going to be in Cleveland?
Yep.
We're going to have a fun 6 months, Brandon, and I can't wait to be on the show with you a little bit more and talk more about what's going on."